Okay, so residual heat start, get it up to 15%. It's cooling the engine down, getting rid of all those hot gases. Get immediate light off. Light off, same thing as EGT rise. And now we're getting a normal cool start. You can see the EGT priming. Start fuel enrichment valve is opening and closing. It's all automatic. Very good. Now we can stop it. I'll give him a quick start. Running now, and Dave's going to go through his before taxi flow, and he's indicated that he would like ground power to be disconnected. So we will go ahead and do that. Okay, now we have to bring the generators online, so we'll check the voltage first, reset, make sure we have good volts. Always want to check that we do have good volts before we attempt to bring a generator online. Okay, and we see via the annunciator panel, the generator fail lights are off. Very good. And the last thing we do is check the current limiters. Okay, current limiter check is very simple. Make sure that we're showing some load on both ammeters. If we're showing normal volts and zero load, then we have lost that particular current limiter, which is the 325. Okay, that would be the only indication because both central buses are still powered, as you remember from ground school. Then we check the 225 current limiter by doing an annunciator panel check, and all the lights come on. So let's see what it looks like if we actually have lost that current limiter. Dave, go ahead and turn off your left essential bus tie. Wait, there we go, I got it. Okay, now do a annunciator panel test, and there's what we have. Everything corresponding to the left side, such as the left wing overheat, left oil pressure, left beta light, left chip detector. That's what you would see. That would be your indication that you have lost that current limiter. Okay, bring it back on. All right, that's a good check. Okay, and then Dave will reference the checklist. Make sure we've got everything on the engine start checklist that we needed to get.
GPU has been disconnected, generators are reset on, generator volt amp meters are checked, current limiters are checked, SRL temp limiter.
And that's not a first flight of the day check. That's done every 50 hours by maintenance. The only time we would ever do that is if we thought we had a SRL computer malfunction, then we'd go ahead and do that check, but we don't have to do that one or the overspeed governor check.
Engine start checklist complete, before taxi checklist.
Very good. Now Dave will go through his before taxi flow. Steering's on, wing ice light is on, propeller start locks released, one at a time. Okay. We should get a flicker in the beta lights. It's a sim thing that we don't, but we can assume that they're off the locks. Flowing down, the SAS servo comes on, flaps to quarter. Always verify with the gauge that we do have quarter flaps, as we can see there. Very good. And avionics on. And finally, suction de-ice hydraulics. Over on the far right side. Everything is in the green. And always back and flow up with the checklist.
Before taxi checklist, ignition switches are in auto, nose wheel steering is on, wing ice lights on, propeller start locks are released. We're going to pass on the NTS check. The trim is set, boost pumps are on, SAS is on, Cali has been checked, flaps are quarter set, prop seat takeoff landing, avionics are on, cabin signs are on, suction de-ice hydraulic pressure has been checked before taxi checklist.
Very good. Okay, we're sitting at the signature ramp in Denver, Colorado. And we'll kind of go into an ATC mode so that you can see what the sequence of events for a typical flight from taxi to landing is. We'll be doing a visual approach, ILS approach, going through the profiles, the flows, and the standard operating procedures for all of that. So Going into the ATC mode now, Dave's going to call for his taxi clearance.
Ground Keyline 1210 at signature with Alpha.
Now Roger, Keyline 1210, exit the ramp at Lima 1, taxi southbound on Mike for 35 left.
Lima 1, Mike to 35 left, Keyline 1210.
And generally we'll wait to do the before takeoff checklist till we're on the straightaway so we can get out of the congested area. But as we start to move, we can do the taxi checklist, which is taxi recog lights, which he has gotten on. Dave will check his brakes. And passenger briefing is on the checklist, but he's single pilot, so there's nobody to brief but himself. And he's already done all of the toll card items as far as takeoff power setting, V-speeds, and takeoff distance. All that has already been accomplished. We don't want to be doing anything while we're taxiing as far as paperwork, setting up a GPS. Just want to be heads up, eyeballs outside for the entire time. Now when Dave gets going southbound on Mike, he'll go through his before takeoff check, which is, we like to call it EFFT. As soon as he gets southbound here, we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so the E is engine instruments. We'll take a quick glance at that, run down the stack. First F, flight and nav instruments, which is bugs are set, airspeed reads 0, blue over brown on the attitude indicator. Altimeters are set and matched left and right. Headings check on all of the HSIs, they're all the same, 1, 2, 3, and they all match up with the wet compass on the overhead. Fuel quantity and balance is checked again. We actually checked it 3 times, showing 2,000 pounds, it's balanced up. And flight controls, free and correct. And then takeoff data and crew briefing. And then he'll take a quick glance at the checklist, but just a quick glance because he is taxiing. We really don't want to be doing anything but eyeballs outside. Very good. And Keyline 1210, hold short, 35 left, and monitor tower.
Keyline 1210, hold short over the tower.
Okay, so Dave's going to hold short of the runway. When he's cleared onto the runway, we do our line items check, and these are a flow from memory. And we split this up into 3 sections to make it kind of easier to remember. Essentially, will be SAS glass lights, which means he gets his pitot heat and SAS heat on. Glass is windshield heat on low, and lights all come up. And then we do the hat check. This is the second part of the 3 steps. You've got to put on your hat before you go flying. It's HATT, which is headings. We'll confirm runway heading once we're lined up. Altimeters again are checked. Transponder is on. In Denver it's always on. It's the only place it's always on. And we note the time, HATT. Then once we're lined up on the runway, it'll be a right to left flow. It'll be bleed switches off, speeds high, cowie as required. In this case it will be off. This would be a dry takeoff. And nose wheel steering off, which we confirm with the annunciator panel. And Keyline 1210, 35 left, line up and wait.
Keyline 1210, line up and wait your time.
And at this point Dave will start his line items flow. Ready to go fly, Dave?
We're ready.
One last look at the checklist. Very good. And this is just a personal preference. It's something that we did at the airlines, but we do a 3-item check, what we call the killer items, the things that can be very dangerous in a large airplane. Those would be flaps, confirming that yes, the flaps are indeed set for takeoff. Pumps, boost pumps are on, and the trim is set. Flaps, pumps, trim. The 3 things that can really hurt you in a big airplane. All right, key line 1210. The winds are calm. Maintain 7,000 feet on departure. Runway 35 left. Cleared for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 35 left, up to 7,000 feet.
And remember that Dave doesn't have any steering for the takeoff. Steering is off, so he's using the heel toe technique that we talked about. Heels are on the floor now. 80 knot cross check. Panel is clear. And V1 rotate. Once he gets positive rate, gear up. Initial pitch 10 degrees, works well. Accelerating to climb speed of 150 knots. And at 500 feet, he'll do his after takeoff flow. That was the altitude alert. Call outs are 6,000 for 7,000. Backing up his flow with the checklist. Key line 1210, contact departure 126.1.
26.1 for departure. Departure key line 1210, 6,700 for 7,000.
All right, Roger, key line 1210, maintain 7,000, turn left heading 220.
Left turn to 220, 7,000.